Thank you, Madam. Allow me to make some short preliminary remarks. The world is at war with an invisible enemy. That is what must be understood. We are on a battlefield against an enemy that we cannot see. But it sees us. It is attacking us. But we are still incapable of attacking it because we don't have the weapon to attack it. But the beauty of being a human being is this. There is nothing that comes into this world as a difficulty, as a problem, that we as human beings cannot overcome. That is in our nature. That is in our intelligence. That is in our capacity. But you cannot win a war with sentiments. Wars are not fought with sentiments. Wars are fought with ideas, with skills, with objectivity, and with required weapons to fight. The beauty in our being human being is this. Even though this enemy is invisible, but our intelligence has told us that there is a way you can prevent yourself from it, even though you cannot see it. That is what we must be thinking about. That is where the intelligence lies. You cannot see an enemy, but you can prevent yourself from it. That is very intelligent. How do you prevent yourself? They say, well, if you do this, and you do that, and you do that, it cannot attack you. That is the issue. And here sentiments have no place. It is tactic. This, in fact, everything that we are doing is tactical. What enables us to fight the enemy that we cannot see. We must strengthen ourselves. We must reinforce ourselves against an enemy that we cannot see. That's the tactic that we have been developing. That's the strategy that we have been developing. A strategy to overcome an enemy that you cannot see. Sentiments do not have place here. I have said it over and over, and I repeat it. This National Assembly is the heart and soul of the nation. The nation depends fundamentally on this assembly. And we cannot afford to use sentiments to fight a war. We must use the required weapons if you want to win this war. We know there are deep-seated cultural practices. Everybody knows what they are in our society. But we cannot use those to fight this war. This war is much more powerful than those. And we must help our people to grow, to empower themselves against this enemy. We cannot do anything to weaken them against the enemy. If we do that, we are failing in our responsibilities in this National Assembly. Our job is to empower our people, to empower them in such a way that even though they cannot see this enemy, they can fight it and win it. We cannot use sentiments to help our people to become big and powerful against such an enemy. Let us not diminish ourselves. Let us not mitigate ourselves. We need all the forces that we need today to become stronger against this invisible enemy, which is devastating the world. That is the issue here. As far as I know, I have never, since my life up to this day, I've never heard of any virus in the world like this. Ebola came Africa. SARS came Europe. This one, the whole world. And that's why the world is united against an enemy that they cannot see. Let us not weaken ourselves with sentiments. They are not helpful. Madam Speaker, I think the committee we need to applaud the committee for the work that they have done. Within so short a time, 38 places, Basse to Bara, within so short a time with limited resources. They have done well. And that is what we require in our circumstances. Commitment to what we are to do to fight this enemy. Everybody must be committed to that. Please, let us help each other to grow. Let us help each other to understand the need for us to have the means necessary to fight this common enemy that we cannot see. We should not do or we should not say anything to weaken anybody against this enemy, this devastating enemy, an enemy which we don't know how long it is going to last. Do you know that there are new cases in China? New cases have emerged in 2 different places in China. And that is where they say it was going away. Now it has emerged 2 different places in China. We must be really prepared to fight this war. And we are very well ill-armed. You have all been saying it here. Ill-armed. And we should not allow that ill-armedness to continue by discouraging people, by putting sentiments into people to accept what is going to kill them. That is not our role. We are failing our people. We must help them to understand what they don't understand. And that is why it is our responsibility to help ourselves to become aware, to understand fully the nature of this enemy, so that we can help others to arm themselves better. Let us use sentiments here. Sentiments are not helpful in any situation, particularly in this situation. I'm not against extending the period, because it is emerging, it is increasing. Don't underrate the numbers. That's how it started everywhere. Ghana, it started with 18. One died. Now tell me how many have died in Ghana. How many are infected in Ghana? Thousands. So it is growing. So why do we want to become complacent in the face of an enemy which is waging an onslaught on the world? We cannot afford that. I am comfortable to pray to Allah in my house. Allah does not say that I should not do that. Allah in fact says in those circumstances that's precisely what I should do. Prevent yourself is better than to cure. That is in the Quran. Prevent is better than to cure. All that people have been talking about here, they don't help. If you open the mosque now, you say, okay, social, physical distance. Who are you going to say don't go into the mosque? The mosque will be so crowded that there will be no space to distance anybody. Who are you going to say go in and who are you going to say don't go in? Think about things objectively. I've been to a burial recently. It was overcrowded. They were talking about social distance, but it was overcrowded. I refused to shake hands. People were forcing me to shake hands. They forced me to hold their hands. That is what they know. But that is not right in our circumstances. It is a culture we all know, we embrace, but sometimes you have to put culture aside to survive. To worship is to survive. If you die, you cannot worship. Save yourself to keep your life in order to worship. Don't help yourself to die in order not to worship. Look at things more objectively, please. These are terrible times in the world, and this is time we should grow bigger as human beings. Difficulties should make us even acquire more knowledge against the enemies of our existence. That's the situation in which we are. Let's leave all these petty talks aside. Let's leave all these petty talks aside. Let us engage ourselves into dipping, into understanding the enemy that we are to fight. That is what we must do. I don't need to be a doctor. I don't need to be a scientist to want to save myself, to help myself to have the equipment necessary to save my life from perishing. And that is why this is a collective enterprise. Those who know are pulling together those who don't understand, don't know, and they are helping them to know in order for them to become strong against an enemy which is invisible. We are doing well, but we have to do still more. To do so little, don't such things to be. My dear colleagues, we all know what the nature of our society is. And when you talk about distancing, if you look at the sociology of our society, sometimes when you talk about teacher, I laugh. Go to some homes here. There is only one house for father, mother, daughter, sons. One single room. Bedtime. What type of social distancing are you talking about in that circumstance? You see, we have to understand the nature of our society. We have to understand the nature of the structure of our society to be able to do these things, these measures, to design them and implement them. Unless we understand the nature of the society in which we are living in, all that we are saying will be meaningless. If you talk about social distancing in such a family, you are insulting them. That's what they have. What about a place where everybody eats from the same bowl? Which is also a culture, which is a practice everywhere. What are we saying about? What are we saying about that? Okay? A wife and a husband, they are two on the bed, but they are lying down. They can lie on top of each other. So that is also why social distancing there. You are laughing, but it's a fact. You sleep with your wife. When you are sleeping, you just roll on each other. You don't even know what you are doing. So social distancing. Funny. Well, I think Honorable Speaker, somebody has said it, but yesterday I talked about it. And Honorable Nyasi has mentioned it. Bile also has mentioned it. I know, Busumba. See, this sector, almost all the sectors are affected by this COVID-19. But the sector which is going to be terribly affected is education. Why? Because here schools are closed, but lessons are being administered over radio and television, they say. I was coming in my vehicle and the radio was on, a woman was complaining bitterly on the radio that these online radio lessons are not helpful, are not any at all, because not many people are accessing them. That's what he was saying. And I can attest to that because I'm from Willie. If there is a student I'm sponsoring at Methodist Academy, she spent all her day yesterday trying to access it through her mobile. It was impossible. I said, look, something must be wrong with your mobile. If your friends are accessing it, you cannot, then change your mobile. But, does she have money to buy a mobile, Android mobile? No, she doesn't have. And there are many, many like that. So the whole syllabi for education are going to be distorted because they are seemingly administering lessons on the radio and television. When schools open, let's say tomorrow, they will pretend that what they have already been given on the radio and television, they should not go over that. Some have not, maybe 3/4 of the students have not accessed it. So that is distorting this, and it is creating a big disparity, as I said yesterday, among students themselves. The same class. Some are going up, some are still at the same place because they have not been having any lessons since the closure of schools. So that's why it is important that this committee must try and meet the relevant, in fact, it's both higher and lower education, whatever they call it. They should be seen, and we should see, they should assess so far the achievements and the challenges that they are meeting in using this media for administering their lessons. Madam Speaker, there's so much to say, but I think I'll stop here. But I want to stop by saying, please, 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 it is not impossible for us to overcome this, but we cannot overcome it disunited. We cannot overcome it with sentiments. I emphasize the word sentiments. We must leave them behind. They cannot help us in these circumstances. We need something much more than that. Thank you very much, Madam. Thank you very